Poland has become one of the most popular tourist destinations in Europe, and there are many reasons why. It offers its visitors not only modern, vibrant cities and the most extraordinary tourist attractions, but also picturesque squares and sightseeing opportunities, which you cannot find anywhere else. You will fall in love with its rich history, medieval villages, and fairy tale castles. No matter if you are looking for breathtaking natural landmarks, majestic mountains, or exciting tourist attractions, Poland has it all. Haven't you already decided where to go on your visit to Poland? Discover with us the best places to see in this beautiful country, which offers endless tourist attractions. Number 1. Krakow. Welcome to Krakow, the second largest and one of the oldest cities in Poland, which was the country's capital between 1038 and 1569. The must-visit place in Krakow is the 13th century Rynek Główny, a 12,000 square meter main square, which is the largest medieval square in Europe, surrounded by marvelous buildings. The heart of the square is the Cloth Hall, also called Sukiennica. It is the traditional indoor market, which was the center of the trading throughout the history, best known for the export of the textile, lead, and salt. Visit the 14th century Gothic Basilica of the Virgin Mary with two characteristic towers that do not have the same height. The first is 81 meters high and is open to the public. You can hear the trumpet from the tower every hour of each day of the year. The second is 69 meters high and serves as a bell tower. Enter the cathedral and admire its richly decorated and colorful interior. Another landmark of Krakow is the Wawel Royal Castle, towering the city like a fairy tale coulis. While its fortifications were built in the 6th century, the castle was built in the 14th century. Since then, the castle was the seat of Polish kings until the 17th century, when it was transferred to Warsaw. The castle is linked with the old legend about the dragon called Smok Wawelski, who threatened the city and was beaten by the brave Prince Crocus. You may see the statue of the fire-spewing dragon near the castle. Take a trip to the Wieliczka salt mine, situated only 13 kilometers from Krakow. Opened in 13th century, this mine produced table salt continuously until 2007. It is the longest active salt mine in the world, and probably the first to combine the industry with the art. You will be blown away by its 3.5-kilometer-long tour to the deepest part of the mine, 135 meters below the surface, where you will find fascinating salt statues, 4 breathtaking chapels, and even an underground lake. A visit to Krakow in December means that you will enjoy charming Christmas markets with a unique atmosphere. Taste local Christmas specialties, or buy nice gifts for your loved ones. Number 2. Wrocław. Because Wrocław is built on 12 islands and surrounded by river and canals, it is often called the Venice of Poland. Start exploring the city in its very heart on the medieval market square, also called Rynek. Full of alluring buildings such as the Gothic Old Town Hall, of which the oldest part dates back to the 13th century. Nowadays, you can find here the Museum of Bourgeois Art as a part of the City Museum of Wrocław. Move back in time by walking around the Cathedral Island surrounded by the Oder River, which was the first inhabited place of Wrocław. It is a charming place with fairy tale buildings, dominated by the Gothic Cathedral of St. John the Baptist, which was destroyed several times in history. The last initial reconstruction took place in 1951. You can visit its interior and admire magnificent statues. Some of them date back to the 16th century. Visit the unique water museum, also called Hydropolis, the only one of its kind in Poland, with a fascinating interactive exhibition about the importance of water and its role in our lives. The museum is housed in a 19th century water reservoir and is designed for visitors of all ages. Do not miss the impressive architecture of Centennial Hall, completed in 1913 on the occasion of the centenary of Napoleon's defeat during the Battle of Leipzig. It is a multifunctional space that can accommodate 10,000 people and is used for conferences, exhibitions, sports, and cultural events. Number 3. Lublin. One of Lublin's most striking places is the medieval Lublin Castle, situated near the city center. The oldest part of the castle is 13th century stone keep, which is also the tallest part of the construction. The castle took its present form in 19th century, and since 1831, it was used as a prison for 128 years. In the castle, there is a museum reflecting Lublin's history. Visit this magnificent piece of Gothic architecture, the 14th Holy Trinity Chapel, which is a part of the Lublin Castle. Admire the 15th century Rutheno-Byzantine frescoes, very unusual for the Catholic Polish churches. If you want to experience something extraordinary, visit the Urban Highline Festival, the first and biggest festival of its kind in the world. Since 2009, every year in the end of July, about 300 highliners from around the world come to Lublin and show their amazing artistic skills. An hour away from Lublin, you will find 16th century Renaissance Janowitz Castle, which is constantly under reconstruction, as it has become ruined during the 19th century. You will find here Nadwyslanskie Museum, which tells about the history of the castle together with breathtaking views of the surrounding valley and the village Janowitz. Enjoy romantic walks through the Lublin Village Open Air Museum, which represents the ethnography of Lublin region. It belongs to the biggest open-air museum in Poland. And you can admire here old houses with original furnishings and objects that reflect local traditions, the daily life and work of the ancestors who lived there. This green oasis is the perfect place also for children, who can find her animals such as goats or horses. Number 4. Poznań. Poznań belongs to the oldest and most picturesque cities of Poland. You will fall in love with its old town, where you can find historic sites, colorful buildings, restaurants, and fountains. On the market square, you will find a remarkable Renaissance town hall, built in the early 14th century. Later in the 16th century, the hall was extended by a clock with mechanical goats, which pop out to butt their heads at noon every day. If you do not make it on time, you can see similar goats inside the town hall. When you sit yourself in one of cafes and restaurants on the market square, taste St. Martin's croissant. This traditional baked local pastry filled with white poppy seed almond filling is delicious. If you love flowers and gardens, visit a 100-years-old Poznań Palm House, situated in Wilson Park. You can admire about 700 species of exotic plants and fish. Do not miss the 20th century Imperial Castle, the last imperial residence built in Europe. Today it houses several exhibitions, cinema, and a theater for children. Only an hour away from Poznań, there is the world's second largest statue of Jesus Christ, called Christ the King, situated in Świebodzin. This 33-meter tall white statue, with a 3-meter golden crown on its head, is proudly towering over the lovely countryside. Another worthwhile attraction is the 14th century Kornik Castle, located only 30 minutes from Poznań. Built as the defensive structure surrounded by a moat, it was redesigned in the 19th century in neo-Gothic style. Today it houses a museum with an impressive collection of artwork and many unique exhibits, which include also the library and furniture. Number 5. Tatra Mountains and Zakopane. The best starting point for travelers in Zakopane is the Krapówki Street, which is the main pedestrian zone of the town, full of shops, restaurants, and pubs. In the local market along the street, you can buy traditional Polish souvenirs or taste ostepek, which is a smoked cheese made of salted sheep milk and is a specialty of the Tatra Mountains. This 1,100-meter-long street gets extremely crowded during the high season, as it is a must-visit place for everyone coming into the town. Be sure to visit Karl Szymanowski Museum, which is dedicated to this famous Polish composer and pianist and his connection to the Tatra Mountains and Zakopane. Zakopane is also known as the winter capital of Poland. You can find here 30 kilometers of slopes for beginners, as well as advanced skiers. Relax and enjoy the most breathtaking scenery on a horse-drawn sleigh ride. It is an unforgettable experience. Zakopane is the best base for hiking in Tatra Mountains, and one of the best hiking spots is Morskie Oko Lake, which means Eye of the Sea. It is surrounded by the mountains, and you can enjoy here stunning views of breathtaking natural scenery. Be aware that during the weekends it gets very crowded. Do not miss 70-meter-high Wielka Szyklawa waterfall, which is the highest in Poland. This waterfall looks especially beautiful on sunny days and belongs to one of the most sought-after tourist attractions in the Tatra Mountains since the 19th century. Enjoy some of the most dramatic landscapes you can possibly have in Poland, thanks to a rafting trip on the traditional wooden rafts down the Dunajec River. You can relax as the raftsmen will do the rafting for you, and it is a great choice even for families with children. Number 6. Gdańsk, Gdynia, and Sopot. Tri-City Poland consists of 3 cities that are very close to each other, but at the same time they are very different in character and history. Gdańsk, Gdynia, and Sopot. The cities are located on the shores of the Baltic Sea and are not more than 40 minutes apart. Let's start with Gdynia, one of the youngest cities in Poland, which was granted city rights only in 1926 and quickly became one of the most important port cities in Poland. Be sure to visit white sandy Gdynia Beach with clean waters. It is a great place for swimming and sunbathing in summer, and is accompanied by the restaurants and cafes. The most romantic walking spot in Gdynia, with sensational sea views, is 180 meters long Orlewo Pier. It was opened during World War I and is equipped with benches. A perfect place for the families with children is the aquarium. Its 68 tanks are home to around 250 species of fish, reptiles, or invertebrates. Another must-visit attractions are 2 impressive vessels. The ORP Błyskawica, the destroyer, constructed in 1937, which also took part in the evacuation from Dunkirk, and Dar Pomorza, a fully rigged sailing ship built in 1909, which used to serve as a training ship. Both vessels have been converted into museum ships. Move to romantic Sopot, with endless sandy beaches stretching 4.5 kilometers and impressive architecture. Whether you are walking along the 511-meter-long pier, which is the longest wooden pier in Europe, or wandering along the Maid Promenade with many restaurants, cafes, and shops called Mączak, you will fall in love with this city. Visit the popular Crooked House, which is the example of bold contemporary architecture and one of the symbols of the city, completed in 2004. This 30-meter tall structure was built in 1975 as a part of the hospital and became the lighthouse 2 years later in 1977. Since then, it has lost its official lighthouse status, and today it is open to visitors. End your journey in medieval port city Gdańsk with a traditional spanning over 1,000 years. An unmissable icon of the city is extraordinary 15th century wooden crane situated over the Mołtawa River. It used to be the largest port crane in the whole of Europe during the Middle Ages, and today it is part of the Polish Maritime Museum. Be sure to visit the Royal Way, lined all along with quaint historic townhouses. You will find here the 14th century main town hall with 83-meter-high clock tower, which offers unbelievable views of the city during summer months, or the Neptune's Fountain, which is a Mannerist Rococo masterpiece built in the early 17th century. It is a symbol of city's connection with the sea and has become the favorite spot for tourists to pose for a souvenir photo from Gdańsk. Number 7. Malbork. The number 1 tourist attraction of Malbork is the breathtaking 13th century Malbork Castle. This medieval fortification is the biggest brick castle and the largest castle by area in the world. It was constructed by Teutonic Order, which is the German Catholic religious order founded in 1190 in Jerusalem. The castle consists of several parts. Let's start with the High Castle, where you can find, for example, Covenant Kitchen in the basement, with interesting exhibition of the kitchen supplies and food, which was served in the past. Or St. Anne's Chapel, with tombs of the Grand Masters and admirers of St. Anne. In the Middle Castle, you can find a grand refectory with magnificent ceiling and colorful frescoes. Inside the Grand Master's Palace, you can admire a beautiful entrance hall with cross vault decorated with grapevine motif, fascinating medieval Królewiec Hall or Grand Master's Chapel. There are many attractions in Malbork Castle, such as falconry performances, thanks to which you can see fantastic owls and raptors, or exhibitions showing the production processes of the various crafts. Visit charming city center full of impressive buildings, such as the 14th century town hall, where the town's authorities were based until 1929. Today, it is a youth cultural center. Another stunning construction is the 19th century Malbork train station, which was the important crossroad in the past as it connected Berlin with Kaliningrad. For families with children, there is a dino park full of amazing fun attractions, located in the charming Forest Park. Number 8. Lodz. Welcome to Lodz, the third biggest city in Poland, situated in the very heart of the country. The best starting point for travelers is Piotrkowska Street, the longest Polish promenade and an icon of the city, where you can find a lot of shops, restaurants, cafes, and even the Hollywood Walk of Fame, with 65 stars of the famous Polish actors and filmmakers. As Lodz was considered the cinematic capital of Poland, it is also a great place for nightlife with numerous pubs and music clubs. You cannot miss Manufaktura, one of the biggest commercial and recreational centers in Poland, which is a combination of history and modernity. With its leisure activities, it is the perfect place for children and adults. And while inside, you can find hundreds of shops and restaurants. There is a square with fountains outside, where many concerts and cultural events take place. Another must-visit place in Lodz is the Central Museum of Textiles, located in the 19th century White Factory, the first textile factory in Lodz. The museum offers one of the largest exhibitions of modern artistic fabrics in the world, which includes old textile machines, vintage clothes, weaving, and sewing equipment. Take a trip to a nearby 15th century Beszekiri Castle, situated about 70 kilometers from Lodz. Nowadays, the castle is a ruin, surrounded by the moat and romantic meadows. If you are visiting this place in the end of summer, there is a night tournament. Do not miss the 19th century Herbst Palace Museum, built as a mansion for the daughter of the most prominent entrepreneur in Lodz, Karl Schleibler. Get a glimpse into the life of a wealthy family of factory owners and admire a splendid ballroom, mirror room, ancient art gallery, and lush garden, which is also a part of the tour. Number 9. Toruń. Because Toruń was spared bombing and destruction during the Second World War, it belongs to one of the best preserved medieval towns in Poland. Toruń is the birthplace of famous astronomer and mathematician Nicholas Copernicus, who lived in the 15th century. Visit the museum dedicated to his life and work, situated in this magnificent brick house where he was supposed to live. There is also a statue of Copernicus right in front of the Old Town Hall, which is the 14th century brick structure with marvelous 40-meter-high clock tower, from which you will have sensational views of the city. The town hall used to be a seat of authorities and a court. Today you can find here a museum with a Gothic art and Polish paintings. Toruń is well known for its typical gingerbread, which you must taste. There is also a museum dedicated to this sweet delicacy, where you can experience the secret baking process. Wandering the city, you can find hidden gems in the narrow streets, such as the 14th century Leaning Tower, associated with an old legend about a knight who broke his promise and fell in love with a girl. He had to build a tower as punishment, but since he had a crooked character, he could not build it straight. Number 10. Warsaw. Welcome to Warsaw, the capital and the largest city of Poland. This economic, cultural, and tourist center of the country is a mixture of modern delights and traditional legacies of Poland. The best starting point for travelers is the old town dating back to 13th century. It was completely destroyed during the Second World War and reconstructed afterwards with such attention to detail that it is listed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It is one of the best people-watching spots in the city, full of cozy cafes and souvenir shops. Do not miss Mermaid of Warsaw, a symbol of the city, which protects the city and its residents armed with a sword and a shield. You cannot miss the Royal Castle, which used to be the official residence of Polish kings from the 16th century onwards. Inside, you can admire a magnificent throne room, richly decorated royal apartments with the original furniture, and an impressive art collection with masterpieces of such painters as Rembrandt and Krakow. This 16th century structure is Warsaw Barbican and is a part of historic fortifications that once protected Warsaw. Today, a popular tourist attraction was used in the defense of the city only once. It is impossible to overlook the 237-meter-high Palace of Culture and Science, completed in 1955 by Soviet workers as a gift from the Soviet Union to the Polish people. Until 2002, it was the tallest clock tower in the world. Would you like to take a rest? Visit Łazienki Park, which is the ideal place for picnics and sunbathing in summer. Take a cruise on gondola-style boats through the water canals in the park, which occupies more than 75 hectares and is the largest in Warsaw. Inside this romantic park, you can also find 17th century neoclassical palace on the Isle, a summer residence of the last Polish king, Stanisław August Poniatowski. You can visit almost all of the palace, which is a museum today, and its top attraction are 140 paintings from the king's art collection. If you've enjoyed this video and want to see more in the future, leave a comment, give a like, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.